Greetings, all. Man, it is Thursday, July 24th. How's everybody doing today? Guys, we have this will be more of a concentrated show today. We're going to be talking about Robotaxis and how I think it's a perfect synergy with DePIN. We're already starting to see this. We talked about it on a space earlier today. Get my ticker going here. But I do want to start off this show first with some sad news of the day, actually. And that's to do with the legendary Hulk Hogan.
When you walk in this beat shop, I'm surprised that you still got the shirt on, Jack.
Do let me tell you something? Oh, sure. The first time I met you, I was only 3 years old, but now I'm 6 years old. So now we gotta take it to a bigger level, man. Just like when you put that no good stinky giant over your head and slammed them right through the canvas in front of 93,000 Hulkamaniacs. So what are they gonna do when the power of the Hulkster and the Roadster and the dual 24-inch pythons run wild on you?
The legend Hulk Hogan has passed at the age of 71. Man, tough week between him and Ozzy Osbourne. Man, a couple of legends passing this week. Oh, in some other news, before we get into the Robotaxis, we have Sydney Sweeney, who launched an ad with American Eagle this week. And bring this up because, man, we are seeing the news
Sydney
really
Sweeney
hit
has
stocks right now. American Eagle, of course, had a heck of a run following that ad, up 13% on the day right now. It actually climbed quite a bit more than that. And we had Elon Musk announce that they're bringing back Vine. If y'all remember Vine in AI form, Wendy said, what does that actually mean? Though I don't know what that means, but I will say this much. Vine on Solana had a huge jump up. It was at on that news, it's at 37 million. It got up to about $80 million on the market cap there in a matter of the minutes following. So pretty wild stuff there, man. Whew. But that does bring me to Tesla, guys. And I think this is a very, very I would say perfect timing for DePIN. The stock, on the other hand, not so pretty, guys. They down 5.5% in the last 5 days. You see a big dive here. I want to break into the details here, but why I am still very bullish on Tesla looking forward. 9% plunge following weak auto sales. So did go on to say that they had their second straight quarter of declining auto sales. There could be a few rough quarters ahead due to expiration of federal electric vehicle tax credits. They had a 16% decline in revenue from the year earlier. They also had, decline in automotive revenue. Total revenue. Total revenue fell 12% as well. Says that they're facing rising competition in markets like China and Europe. So what's going on with Tesla? And, is there an opportunity for them to turn things around? There's a couple of things that people are looking out for. It said that they're waiting for the release of a cheaper EV model that should be ramping up production the second half of the year. But it did go on to say that the outlook for the rest of the year is murky, as the Tesla did not provide any official guidance departure earlier from this year. We've seen a lot of companies remove guidance with the tariff situation. But I have to say, the shares, for the amount of drop-off they had in revenue, the shares aren't down that much. And I think the big reason has to do with this right here, and that's the Robotaxi front. And that's the one I want to dive into in the rest of this episode. How big of a market that is. Not only that, though, but how much of an opportunity there is for DePIN, because I think there's a massive opportunity here. And I'm going to break down the different projects that I think could play out well because of the Robotaxi market. This article in particular, they said Elon, with a straight face, said that the Robotaxi will cover half of the population by the end of the year. That's pretty ambitious, I will admit. They went on to say, we can't stop laughing. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be laughing at Elon from a business perspective. He does tend to deliver. Says that earnings are down 23%, but the stock's not crashing because of his promise on earnings growth through autonomous driving and humanoid robots. Said that we had previously reported on how Tesla's robotaxi effort is a major shift in the strategy for Tesla, which has been promising unsupervised self-driving in its customer vehicles for years. It's funny because when I talk to some of my friends, well, there's a lot of Elon haters out there. Ever since he got involved in politics, people all of a sudden like started hating him a lot, and that's fine. But people kind of let it cloud their judgment, and I think they're just like, well, he's never going to launch robotaxis, and they just want to hate on everything he does. And I think you have to kind of try to remove your emotion sometimes from things. It says that right now, and then they are testing. They started recently testing them in Austin, Texas. Says that the robotaxi service consists of internal fleet operating within a geo-fenced area, and in-car supervisors are necessary with finger on a kill switch at all times. And that's pretty normal. I mean, that's how like Waymo operated as well. Didn't stop Elon, who does tend to have very ambitious goals and sometimes overstates the capabilities. It says that he believes in the half of the population in the U.S. will be covered by robotaxis by the end of this year. That I don't know about that, but he said that the biggest hurdle is going to be regulatory approval. Well, we'll say this might be worth noting because Trump just tweeted this earlier today. So everyone is stating that I will destroy Elon's companies by taking away some, if not all, of the large-scale subsidies he receives. This is not so. I want Elon and all businesses within our country to thrive, in fact, thrive like never before. So maybe that could help on the regulatory front. But I also think this was interesting. They've released some data on the accidents with the autonomous technology, the autopilot technology of Tesla. And if you look here versus actually people driving cars versus the autonomous driving, people driving are about 10 times more likely to have an accident. So I think you're seeing that these autonomous vehicles actually could end up being a lot more safe than human-driven vehicles, which shouldn't be that surprising, really. If you look at Polymarket right now, they actually have betting odds on this, on whether they'll launch a driverless robotaxi service in 2025. Right now, there's about a 42% chance. But 68% by June 30th. So looking very, very likely that within the next year, we're going to start seeing robotaxis out on the road. Bob says, I trust the robots more than people. People are terrible drivers. People are terrible drivers, man. For real. For real. How big of an opportunity is this, though? And that's the question. Well, there's some speculation this could be a $10 trillion market. Kathy Wood actually came out and made the same claims. Says that Tesla has launched its robotaxi service in Texas, potentially spawning multi-trillion-dollar market. Despite falling a 20% fall in shares over the past 6 months, the division could lead a $10 trillion global market. Analysts are predicting that we could see a $2,600 Tesla stock within the next 5 years, and 90% of that attributable to robo-taxis. Man, that's pretty big. Okay, that's pretty big. And you might question, like, hey, is this possible? I think this is a really interesting part of this clip from Elon. I played it, I think, like last week, but I want to play it again.
After our last conversation seemed to come up, why doesn't Tesla buy Uber?
There's no need because we have a large number of cars. We have millions of cars that will be able to operate autonomously. And I should say that it's a combination of a Tesla-owned fleet and also enabling Tesla owners to be able to add or subtract their car to the fleet, so that existing Tesla owners will be able to earn money by adding their car to the fleet for autonomous use. And I think it's maybe possible for Tesla owners to make more in allowing their car to be added to
used, which you discussed,
the self-driving fleet that then they cost them in the lease.
Right.
And
that's wild. Okay. So, imagine you own a Tesla and you're at home, it's charged up, you just send it out to make some extra money. It more than covers your lease payment. Man, that's crazy. But, I think Uber sees the writing on the wall too. They just announced their partnership with Lucid to launch self-driving vehicles. So how does this all fit in with DePIN? Because obviously this is going to be a massive opportunity. And I would say we're already starting to see it, y'all. If you look, starting off with HiveMapper, and there's 4 projects I'm going to highlight here. HiveMapper is the first one. They just announced their partnership there with Volkswagen, and there's some notable companies on here, by the way. You have Lyft, Mapbox, TomTom, NBC Universal, but Volkswagen's the one I really want to draw your attention to because same deal. Volkswagen is partnering with HiveMapper for their Robotaxi mapping. Okay, and it goes on to say this is a significant advancement for the integration of blockchain technology into real-world applications. VW's Autonomous Vehicle Division, ADMT, has formed a partnership with HiveMapper. It says this collaboration aims to develop a cutting-edge mapping system for Volkswagen's upcoming Robotaxi fleet. And it says that the partnership is timely because the Volkswagen is preparing to test its Robotaxi in Hamburg, which plans to expand to LA by 2025. Wow. But it's not just HiveMapper. We also have Rover. Rover's doing LiDAR. What's interesting, so Waymo, self-driving vehicles, uses LiDAR. A lot of people, there's misconception. While Teslas don't have LiDAR equipped, they used LiDAR data to train their models. Okay. So Rover, on the data front, guys, Rover data they're already getting feedback that it's better in some ways than the Waymo open data set. So, again, this data collection is being used to train the autonomous vehicle models. Okay, so we're already seeing the integration on the data side of things, and this is massive, massive news. And if you take this a step further, if we look at Rover's hardware, I want to zoom in down here, built-in RTK services on both of their units, on their LC as well. If you scroll in down here, built-in full band RTK services. Well, who might that be? Well, that is GeoNet. Okay, so GeoNet's getting very precise location data to help validate the data that's being collected by Rover. That again is going to be used to train autonomous vehicles. So not only are they using the network, but if you look at the tokenomics on Rover, 20% of all revenue is going to burn GeoNet tokens. Okay, so this is something that I think has kind of been flying under the radar that I wanted to call out. And when asked about this, Mike Horton himself spoke about Robotaxis in this interview with Leo from Future Network, so you should subscribe to if you don't already.
Rover's doing. So those are the 2 categories in this full self-driving market, which I think is going to be has come out of the valley of death. Okay, it went through a hype cycle back 6-7 years ago. Everyone thought it was going to happen tomorrow. It didn't, but it's come out of the valley of death. If you're in San Francisco or you're in LA or you're in Phoenix, you see these vehicles all over the place from Waymo, and they are running super smoothly. And people I bump into all the time. Oh yeah, I took a ride on Waymo. It was fantastic. So the code has been cracked. It's going to happen. Tesla's made amazing progress in the field as well. It's going to go big, and automotive is I don't want to use any obscenities because it'll get censored on that YouTube, but it is a massive, massive, massive market that can be completely revolutionized by this tech stack.
Boom. Autonomous driving, massive, massive opportunity. Talking about his partnership with Rover there. And on the other thing, I want to talk about one more project here, and that is Tashi Network. Okay, so Tashi Network is going to be kind of a coordination layer at the edge for robotics. So they could serve to kind of coordinate all these vehicles within each other out there at the edge. So there's a lot of opportunities within DePIN right now where I think you're going to be able to see them capitalize on this massive opportunity that's coming up that a lot of people are sleeping on. Let's be real. Because, I'm hearing and I've seen, comments on some of my live streams when I talk about this stuff like, oh, I would never trust driving with an autonomous vehicle. Well, I think this article that came out today gives us some insight in how I think this is going to play out. So I want to run through this real quick. It says that women will soon be able to request a female Uber driver in these U.S. cities. And this is based on the fact that a lot of female passengers have been dealing with sexual assault. Okay, so now women are going to be able to request women drivers specifically. They're looking to launch this in LA, San Francisco, and Detroit in the next few weeks. And I bring this up because I think this is how this is going to play out with the autonomous taxis, guys. I think you're going to be faced with the decision to either have a person drive you or go with a robotaxi. I think they're going to have a large financial difference because they're going to be able to cut out that labor cost. So you think about this. At first, there's going to be people that are like, I would rather pay the extra money to have a person drive me. But let's say you get to the party you're at, whatever, and there's someone there that said, hey, have you guys tried the robotaxis yet? It was $10 cheaper for me to get here, and it's freaking awesome. And all of a sudden you start getting people to kind of flip over, and all of a sudden that becomes the majority. And I think that's how this is going to play out. I think you're going to have options to begin with, through your Ubers, through your Lyfts, and then over time people are going to get very accustomed to it, and it will drop the price. I wouldn't be surprised if later they raise prices. That's what they tend to do once they have the adoption they want. But that's how I think this is going to play out, guys. So massive opportunities. I think there's a perfect synergy in a lot of ways. Now I think he said update the Tesla firmware. Elon won't let decentralization happen there. I'm not saying that there's going to be, Tesla is going to have a decentralized app or anything of that nature. I think they're going to control it, but I think that DePIN is going to mix in different ways, and eventually you could see some decentralized apps launch with autonomous vehicles. But the data side of it and the infrastructure side, I think, is going to be used right away. Couple of things I'll touch on, and then I got to hop over to a space that I want you guys to come over to. Some major things happening with Hive Mapper. You can see their maps are being built out. One of the things Elon touched on Ariel touched on, is that they're able to see this sign multiple times to validate these different signs and features on the maps because they get so many shots on target. Obviously, the Hive Mapper Honey token sitting at just under 2.2 cents. So I think we could have some upside there. Rover just hit over 20 million kilometers mapped. So they are making waves. They just, I think, sold out their LC on batch 2 pre-orders, or they're very close. This one, the token floats so low, $1.1 million market cap. I have grabbed a bag there. I think there's a lot of upside, especially because there's such a low circulating supply. GeoNet has partnered with this Drone Dash. So you're seeing more and more collaboration there. There's a post here about how the big problem with robotics is that you need more accuracy. They're like, this is a huge problem that needs to be solved. And GeoNet's like, hey, man, we already solved it, bro. So making moves there. Next Tuesday, I am bringing Mike Horton on the DePIN Connected Space. So make sure to set your reminders for that, y'all. GeoNet's been lagging behind a little bit, but 16.31 cents. Guys, I think that's going to make some moves probably. And we're going to talk about centralized exchange listings with Horton on that space. Because that's the one thing a lot of people I think have been upset about with GeoNet. Then with Tashi Network, we actually had them. There's a recording here. Had him on the DePIN Connected Space this Tuesday. So if you didn't listen to that, I highly recommend it. Let's see here. Helium Q2 earnings came out for all the telecoms. Helium Mobile crushed it with their signups, beating out AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Pretty impressive. They said their churn numbers are looking great as well. A little bit of a pullback in the price of H&T, but I think that we could see things run there. I want to talk about IONET. Some pretty big metrics coming out there. 13% growth over the last 30 days, and revenue now up to $16.7 million in revenue to the network so far. They've hit 69,000 in a single day. Pretty impressive stuff happening there. Could IONET, the IO token, have a comeback here at 73 cents? It did get up to $4.23. So I am very bullish on the compute side, as you guys know, if you watch my channel. And then I'm going to leave you with this. Tomorrow, I'm going to break this down. We've been talking about the bond market a lot. Well, we just had a bond sale. The U.S. government did. I'm going to break down the details here. How much demand there was and where the demand is coming from, whether that's other countries, through the private sector, through our banks, And we're going to break down all the details there for you tomorrow, because I think it can give us insight into how much demand there will be looking forward, as we have a lot of debt rolling over this year. It's a very important year for that. And I'll leave you with this, y'all. I'm hopping over to the space now. Give Crypto Empress a follow, and that space is starting right now. So go ahead and join in there, guys. We're going to talk about DePIN for the next hour. Very exciting stuff. I know it's a little bit of a shorter show today, but tomorrow we will get back into the Bitcoin, the Ethereum, broader crypto news, as well as the bond market. Appreciate you all. See you in the space. Peace.